Hello viewers, boy have I got something special for you today. Check this out. That is a TVR Sagaris, the only one currently in Canada. Yeah, it's very special. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Rob Stewart with his TVR Sagaris. So, Rob, you're not new to the world of TVRs, are you?
No, I guess it's around 93, 94 I got my first TVR.
Which was?
So I got a Tasman. So
Okay.
one of the earlier wedge-shaped cars. It had a 2.8 Ford Capri engine, basically, but fuel injected. And had that car for quite a few years. I even winter drove it here in Canada.
Wow, brave man.
Yeah. So when I bought it, I had I think about 70,000 kilometers on it. I drove it till about 425 before I sold it. So I drove it a lot. And near the end of the time I had that, I bought another wedge-shaped TVR, 1985 350i fixed head coupe. So the first one was a convertible. Second one was a coupe, and I still have that one today. That one has a Rover V8.
Aha.
After that, I bought a TVR Griffith, so 1994 Griffith with a 5-liter engine based on a Rover V8.
And that was a North American.
And that was one of 7 that came to Canada new.
So left-hand drive, Griffith 500.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that one I still have. I bought a Chimera next, which is a long story, but I bought a Chimera, had it for a couple of years and sold it on. It's down in the States now. And then I bought this one this year.
Oh, very good. Now, this, I believe, is the most famous Sagaris in the world.
I would say that's probably true. Yeah, this was a press car, one of a couple of press cars. So I'm sure I'll get behind him after the light.
Yeah.
But yeah, this car was driven by Laudla magazine reviews and TV shows, including Jeremy Clarkson driving it on Top Gear, Jason Plato on 5th Gear. It was in a lot of reviews. First 17,000 miles were press miles.
So when you got the car this year, what sort of mileage did it have?
It had, I think about 41,000 miles.
Aha.
And I'm not sure exactly what I put on it so far. In kilometers, probably around 6,000 kilometers so far, five plus. So I've been driving. I've been enjoying it.
As you should. Cars are meant to be driven, enjoyed.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When I was shopping, there's a few that were absolute museum pieces. But if you start driving them, they very quickly get a few stone chips. And this one, although it's quite pretty and in really nice shape, it does have a few little battle scars. So yeah, you don't feel guilty getting out there driving.
20 years ago.
That's good to hear. Considering you would have driven a new one back then.
Yeah, it was fairly new. That was in 2006. I think it was a 2005 car.
Yeah.
Fairly new.
Yeah, and that's it. And once you spend a little time behind the wheel, then the feel for this clutch, the way it progresses, the feel for that quick steering, all that stuff smooths out, and it's quite a nice car to drive.
Yeah, you have to get used to the floor hinged clutch pedal, which if you've got an old Porsche 911, you'd be right at home with this. Beautiful engine, just such a joy. That's great, because if it was too perfect, you might not want to put too many miles on.
No, exactly. Yeah, and you know, over the years with all these various TVRs, I've done over 600,000 kilometers in TVRs. So
Wow.
I believe in driving them.
So on the internet, everyone says TVRs are very unreliable. What has your experience been?
Poorly maintained cars that sit around too much are unreliable. TVRs, there have been a few things here and there that may not have been ideal, but generally speaking, a properly maintained TVR can be counted on. I have used a TVR as a daily driver and didn't really have too many problems. So cars will break.
Right. So how did you find the most famous Sagaris in the world?
So my journey wasn't actually looking for this car. I was looking actually at Tuscans initially, and looked at a number of cars online. Check the ads pretty much every day, what's new. And when as things progressed, decided that the Sagaris just made a bit more sense for me. So I decided to take a trip over to the UK and look at some cars. This was the first one I looked at, so I went off, looked at others. I actually just didn't necessarily think I would buy this one. Saw some really decent cars and some really good, honest dealers. There's a lot of really good dealers in the community in the UK. But it came back to this car, and they had it in stock for a while. Took a second trip back to the UK. In fact, the dealer Hilton and Moss that I bought it from were hosting a barbecue for the TVR Car Club. So I used that as an excuse to go to the UK to go to a barbecue. Came home. I still hadn't made my final decision, but my wife actually asked me to buy it. I guess she knew I wanted it, and maybe she wanted me to stop talking about it and just do it. So.
I find it very easy to drive a right-hand drive car. In Canada, similarly, I find it easy driving a left-hand drive car in UK because you know where the edge of the road is.
Yes, yeah. And quite frankly, people get worried about driving in a right-hand drive, but the way I view it is most people have spent so much of their life in a passenger seat of a car. The brain knows where you're supposed to be in the lane when you're in that seat.
Exactly.
So it's just down to, getting your hand in the right place for the gear shift, and on some cars not using the wipers when you meant to use the blinkers. The steering is very quick, very direct.
Yeah, anyone who's driven one of these in Germany has always complained that the steering is a little too quick. That at really high speeds you want steering to be a little bit more relaxed. Notice the brakes require a real firm foot on them. They're not assisted.
Well, they are, but they're not over-assisted.
Right.
They're actually excellent once you realize you do have to be involved in the braking. You have to be putting some pressure in there.
Right. Beautiful engine, just such a joy. Rob, thank you so much for letting me experience your beautiful car. It is stunning.
I really appreciate you taking the time to share that with me, because it's always nice to get other people's feedback, especially somebody with such passion. So thank you anyway.
Thank you again so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a safe drive back, and well, can't wait to see what other adventures, automotive adventures you have
I'm
lined
sure
up in the
we'll
future.
have you in another car one of these days.
Awesome.
Yeah, cheers. Okay.
Take care, Rob.
Thank you.
Hey, do you like to watch car videos? Well, come subscribe to our channel.